Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Diplomatic Enclave. I am your host, Khalid Butt. Today is an auspicious day because of two reasons. Today is the birth of our founder, Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah, and today is also Christmas. We want to celebrate Christmas with the person who represents the Holy See here, the Apostolic Nunciature here. He is the Apostolic Nuncio, or otherwise the ambassador of the Holy See of in Pakistan, and his name is His Excellency Archbishop Christoph Zachia Al-Kassis. He is here with us, but before I start my conversation, I'd like to quote His Holiness Pope Francis, who said, "We cannot remain indifferent. Today the world has a profound thirst for peace. In many countries, people are suffering due to wars which, though often forgotten, are always the cause of suffering and poverty." His Excellency, thank you very much to have joined us.
Thanks to you. I'm very happy to have you here in the Nuncio, and thank you for taking this initiative to interview me and to talk about the Holy See and my work in your country.
Excellency, the pleasure is all ours. I started with the quote by His Holiness Pope Francis because nowadays when we see across the world, there is this thirst for peace, but there is a thirst by a lot of sectors for war as well. None of the religions teaches war. They all go for peace amongst each other, amongst communities, amongst races, amongst religion. How important is peace in this day and age?
You know that peace was always a message for everybody, from, as you mentioned, from all religions, and everybody is seeking for peace. But we know that peace is not only to stop war. Popes always talk about peace. It is an initiative to create an atmosphere. You see, it is a way to live together and to avoid the conflicts that leads us to wars. For this reason, peace, it is a commitment, a daily commitment that everyone has to work for it. Therefore, if we don't work in this line, we see what is happening. Sometimes you see there are many factors that lead to a war, no? Many factors that lead to a conflict. Therefore, peace and war, you see, are two lines going in parallel,
side by side, yes.
Side by side. And at a certain moment, those who don't work for peace or the workers for peace are lower than the other one, we will receive a conflict. For this reason, we believe as Holy See in the dialogue. Many conflicts could be solved through dialogue. Okay, so and in this way we can build our society. People are tired of wars, no?
That is true. And I think all our religious leaders have taught us that peace, harmony, and understanding of each other to live together irrespective of your background. Now, Your Excellency, thinking of you and your work at the Holy See brings me to the next question. How does one enter in this profession? How does one enter the Holy See? How does one enter to become a father or eventually to become a pope?
Very important questions. We have here about 2-3 questions, so I will forget them. To become a diplomat, let us say, because I'm a diplomat for the Holy See, this path is not up to the person itself. It is a kind of selection. It comes like a selection from the Holy See itself, and or the bishop of the priest presents him to the Secretariat of State. This is the organ that governs, you see, the Holy See, and works on the discipline of the work in the Holy See. So Secretary of State, like you can consider it like the Prime Minister office for us. So there they approve the selection, no? And then they send you to the academy, call it Ecclesiastical Pontifical Academy.
At what age, Your Excellency, does one start these studies?
Usually, to become a diplomat, you should be already a priest, diocesan priest. You cannot belong to a religious order. You should be a diocesan priest. It means you belong to a bishop. And then usually there is no limit for age, but usually maximum, sometimes are some exceptions, should be under the age of 36, 35, 6 to be sent as a diplomat.
All right. And before that, in order to become a priest, what are the different procedures that one has to go through? At what age does one start?
Usually, it depends on each country. You see, because in each country we have bishop conference, and we have also different culture. Like in your country, for example, Pakistan, we have what we call it pre-seminaries, we have minor seminaries, and we have the major seminary.
All right.
And the ages varies from here and other countries. For example, in Europe, you can be ordained priest at age 24, 25. But here in Pakistan, it's very rare to see a priest ordained at this age, very rare.
And why is that so? Why is it a difference in age?
It depends on the formation, you see, because we need to prepare the students, to prepare them culturally, language, background, teaching, you see, to make them ready, to work for the whole country, especially cultural talking and education. Okay, so it depends.
All right. Excellency, how did you become a priest? What motivated you to become one? And then what motivated you to enter the diplomatic arena and the Holy See?
So I entered the seminary at the age of 18. Vocation, we call it vocation in our faith. So you have this desire to serve the church, to serve the Lord, and through his people. Through the people, regardless of the confessions, because a priest in the Catholic Church is a priest who serves the Catholic community and the person generally talking. So for that reason, this desire was there, you see, to spread out the message of love that Jesus, you see, preached on earth. And I entered the seminary at the age of 18. I finished my studies. And when I became a deacon, you see, at age 24, my Archbishop put me with him of Beirut, because I was born in Beirut, in Lebanon, and then I was his secretary. And after 1 year, I became a priest at the age of 25, something. And after 2 years, he sent me to Rome to continue my studies in civil and canon law. Canon law, it means the law of the church. Okay, so I went there to get specialized in civil and canon law and international law. While I was there, I was called by some officials in the Secretariat of State to enter the diplomacy. I personally didn't know about it. I was not interested.
So you were chosen, basically?
Yeah, I was not interested, actually. I was approached 2, 3, 4 times. At the end, it asked me to talk to my Archbishop. I talked to my Archbishop, who was changed at that time, a new one came over, and then explained the situation, and he said, okay, we'll send a priest to serve the Universal Church and to be at the disposal of the Holy Father. So I entered the diplomacy, you see, and in the academy in 1998. And after 2 years, I finished my doctorate in law.
Doctorate?
Yes, all diplomats of the Holy See should have a grade of doctorate. If not, a priest cannot become a diplomat. So after finishing my studies in this law, and we have also exams and studies at the academy regarding diplomacy, the international, relations, and the languages. We should know 4 languages at least, you see, English, Italian, French, and Spanish, you see. And then I became diplomat in 2000, you see. I was sent to Indonesia, to Sudan, and to Turkey. You see. After this, they called me back to the Secretariat of State, as I mentioned before. This is the organ that manages the political side of the Holy See. And there I served for 11 years. After that, Pope Francis made me Nuncio, became Archbishop, and I was sent to work in your lovely country.
So this is your first post?
As ambassador, yeah, as Nuncio, Apostolic Nuncio,
okay.
first posting.
And how is this first post going for you? How have you found Pakistan and its people?
Look, I have to say that Pakistan is a very nice country. I'm very sad to say that your reputation outside, abroad, is not that good, you see, unfortunately. But when I came here, really, I was very happy, and I felt really this beauty of the country, especially you, Pakistanis, are very welcoming, very open. And I explain to everybody the situation here is not as you are imagining, as mass media say. You know, you are working in the mass media sector, you see. You know that this, I call it a kind of weapon, no? Could be could be used as a weapon or an instrument for peace and understanding and dialogue.
I agree.
But sometimes, you know, it is used in different ways. So nobody can say that, or any country can say that perfection exists on earth. There are many challenges, even here. But according to me, this challenge could be, you see, solved easily, you see. And Pakistan, as we talk about my experience, I see that has a lot of potential. You have plenty of youth, here, so majority of population is based on youth. And this can give a very bright future for your country. I only say that what is needed here, education. I got to me education, because when you enlighten the heart of people, their mind, they will discover the truth, the true truth. Because sometimes we can fall in the hands of some people who can manipulate, you see, interpret things according to their will, not according to the truth itself. And this can help people to grow up when they receive a healthy education at all levels,
Speaking of education, how important is education to the Holy See, and is it part of its mission also to educate wherever it sends its emissaries?
Yes, for us, for the Holy See, and I want to underline for the Church itself, Catholic Church is very important. Because, Holy See is an organ, you see, just allow me to define for you and for those who are listening to us, what is the Holy See?
Of course, we would like to.
According to our definition, we have two meanings. We have this strict meaning. Holy See is the Holy Father himself, the Pope.
All right.
The large meaning, you see, it is the Holy Father, the Pope, plus all the Curia Romana. Curia Romana means all the organs, you see, of administration in the Holy See. Like we call them in your country ministries or secretariat of ministers. It's like this. So these are offices that manage the whole matters on behalf of the Pope for the whole church and the worldwide. Okay? So the Church, Catholic Church, is very, because the Pope also is the head of the Catholic Church after Jesus Christ. So the Pope, popes all times, you see, encouraged, you see, the church, local church, to operate and work in this field of education. Since the beginning, that most of the schools in many countries, especially countries of mission, you see in Africa and Asia, and we call them mission, it means there are countries where not in Europe where we have, you see, organized states, no? And there you see that missionaries went there to found schools. See, missionaries were sent to educate people. I have to underline also, missionaries is not those who go to convert people. For us, missionaries are those...
Because that is also a misconception that is present around a lot of countries.
Yeah, missionaries for us are those who go in order to develop, you see, a country, to spread out, you see, the message, you see, of Jesus, which is based on love and peace, but without forcing people to convert, because it's not their mission to convert people. Unfortunately, sometimes it happened. The Pope also talked about it, that some groups, some political groups, some political parties, some at that time, we talk about the old ages, they were using sometimes the work of mission, you see, for their own manipulation and forcing people sometimes for conversion. We have to say it happens sometimes. But it's not actually the work of the church itself. But sometimes some kingdoms, some, you see, politicians, I'm talking about the Middle Age, used the missionary work, you see, in order to do their own plans, which was not accepted by the church itself.
Has the church taken out a proper resolution in that regard as far as those who work against the interest of the church?
Actually, there were always in Europe, if you remember the event of Canossa, is a very important event, where there was a conflict between the Pope himself and the Emperor at that time, Henry, who wanted to interfere in the nomination of bishops, in the business of the church. So the Pope told him, Gregory, no, you have your sphere, manage your, you see, civil side, and the church should be managed by us, But the problem of interference, you see, it always happens from both sides sometimes. Sometimes you see some people of the church want to intervene in politics, others want to intervene in church matters. Anyway, so this conflict was always there.
Right.
And Pope Francis himself, just to underline, he really made a statement recently, talk about that does not recognize and acknowledge and accept what happened in some countries during the sometimes colonizations. They go and they use some means, religion, for other purposes. For this reason, for the Holy See and for the Church, as the Pope mentioned, you see, in in his letter, you see this document signed also with Dr. Ahmed Al-Tayyib, Sheikh Al-Azhar, no, on the 4th of February 2019, about fraternity, no? He talked about this, that we cannot convert people by force. You see, we cannot. It's not acceptable. And for the church, it's not a part of our mission. You see,
all right.
Conversion, it is a free choice.
Which takes me to another aspect of the Holy See, and that is diplomacy. That is what a lot of embassies do, and that is what the Holy See also does. How important is the role of the Holy See in multilateral diplomacy?
Yes, we are very active in this field, even though we are not members of the United Nations. We have only an observer, permanent observer. We're not members of the United Nations. And the Holy See is very active there because we have the right, you see, to speak, to talk, to address the community. And I noticed that many countries, because when I was in Secretary of State, I worked in this field of multilateral. I was dealing with the human rights issues.
All right.
And I noticed there that there was a kind of collaboration between us and some states. We don't like to be part of any group. You know, United Nations have groups and blocks. The Holy See avoids to be a part of any group. We work with everybody. It depends on the topic. It depends on the matter discussed. And we'll see what countries are sharing our views, and there we collaborate together.
All right.
And we work a lot to defend the human dignity. We worked on fundamental human freedoms. It's very important for us. Freedom of expression, freedom of religion, all kinds of freedoms. You see, we try to defend them worldwide.
All right. Also, I'd like to understand what is the role or the commitment of the Holy See as far as interfaith or interreligious dialogue is concerned, and also ecumenism.
Look, after the Council of Vatican II, it was held from 1962 to 1965, this council made a kind of big reform in the Catholic Church. And after this council, Pope Paul VI established what we call it Pontifical Council for Interreligious Dialogue, which deals with all religions, non-Christians. And also, same time, he established also a Pontifical Council for the Unity of Christians, which deal with Christians but non-Catholics. And this is a good sign that popes are interested, the Holy Father is interested in opening up and have a serious dialogue with all these groups in the church, and outside the church, non-Christians. And there were, the Holy See participated in many conferences, many events. They also invite many leaders from all religions. You know, the meeting of Assisi, a very famous one, started with Pope John Paul II, and we still continue doing it. This Assisi meeting is the gathering of all religious leaders. They come and meet, discuss, talk, a sign of, as we mentioned before, peace, because peace starts with this dialogue, sit down together and discuss. And second thing I have to say, as I mentioned before, earlier, about this document signed by Pope Francis and Sheikh Dr. Ahmed Al-Tayyib
from Al-Azhar University.
Al-Azhar University. And this document is really important about the brotherhood, you see, about the fraternity, universal fraternity. And this document is very important because it explains that we cannot use religion to justify violence.
And that is extremely important in this day and age when a lot of groups use exactly that.
That's true. For this document, I advise everybody to read it. It is on internet, you can see it wherever you want. And it defines how we have to respect each other, how to work together, how to have, understanding of each other. You see, everyone, you see, all religions, you see, they love God, but each one maybe has a different approach. You see, so we have to respect each other's approach. This is. I cannot force others to believe as I believe. I cannot. You see, as we said before, faith and you see, it's a question of a personal choice. You see, and you feel a call in your heart, you follow. True. But no. So this document, I repeat, is very important to emphasize the commitment of the Holy Father, and in every church, like in your country. You see, there are also commissions that deal with interreligious dialogue, interfaith dialogue. You see, they participate in many meetings and gatherings.
Speaking of commitment and approach, what is the Holy See's approach as far as the civil society and the common good of the people is concerned?
Look, the mission of the Holy See and of the Church is the person itself. As I mentioned also before, it's not only about, you see, a religion, Christianity or God. It is, first of all, the person itself. And we believe that Jesus Christ, our Lord, when He came down from heaven, no, this is a mystery of incarnation in our faith, He took our nature as a human, no, because He was His Son of God and became a man. He renovated the human person. And He became a model for all humans to follow in love, peace, openness to God, to the other, in laying down His life for others. This expression of love that you give up your life just to save the other. So this model, the Church is responsible in carrying it, you see, to the whole world. For this reason, you see many orders here, for example, many religious orders. They establish schools. Most of the students are Muslims here. We don't look Muslim or Christian or Catholic. No, for us, the person should, you see, grow up, discover, you see, the world, study, you see, and receive what is necessary. There are many orders also work in many countries regarding, even here, in the hospitals. No, it's the healthcare sector. They work with the human person. We don't look at the religion, identity, or color, or anything. This is not the message of the Church. This is our message, the mission, you see. And we will continue like this.
All right. I would like to refer now to another quote by His Holiness Pope Francis, who said the succession of economic crises should lead to a timely rethinking of our models of economic development and to a change in the lifestyles. Today's crisis, even with its serious implications for people's lives, can also provide us with a fruitful opportunity to rediscover the virtues of prudence, temperance, justice, and strength. How important also is this quote in this current day and age when we see a lot of that happening across the world?
Look, a crisis happens every time, you see. What is different is how we face the crisis. It depends on us, no, how we look at it. But to face a crisis, you need to be strong inside. So these are qualities Pope said, no, prudence, you see, peace, have this serenity, and have this right way to look at things. So especially in our days, we are living in the midst of the COVID-19, and we have economic crisis worldwide, and even here in Lebanon also have a big crisis.
Of course.
You see, so people, how can they face these things? To renew themselves from inside. And other factors, other actors, you see, in society should have this openness to the other. This is what is justice. We should also think about the needy. Think about, you see, the person who is passing through difficulties. Not to be selfish. Pope always rebuked. Pope Francis always talked about this, the sickness and the cancer of selfishness. You see, we should not think only about ourselves. We should think about others also.
And that is how you become a true leader, when you think of others and you work for the benefit of the others. I would like to quote something else as well. He said, His Holiness Pope Francis, ambition must not be confused with the abuse of power. On the contrary, people should compete with one another in mutual esteem. There is a lot of abuse of power as well, whether it be in societies, in organizations, in countries, in politics, everywhere across the world. Have people alienated themselves from religion? Is that one of the reasons why things like these are happening? Or is it a normal human behavior that can only be changed if you understand religion properly?
Yeah, I agree with you. I have to emphasize the one point that we, all of us, I mean, could be talk about religion, about politics, about anything. We should put it in this way, that all those who work on earth, they are servants. I mean, we are serving. If I am a politician, I am the servant of my citizens. I am elected to serve them, not to be a boss. You see, I am a servant. And if I am a religious leader, I am servant of God, So what God wants I have to do, not what I want, you see. So this is our understanding also that in our religion exists, you know the title of the Pope, we call him the servant of servants. Servants are the bishops, no? And the Pope is the servant because he's the chief of bishops, but is not boss, is a servant. And I guess that if we look at it in this way, that religion does not belong to us, is to God. He is the Lord, not us. So we have to follow him, to take care of those who follow him with the spirit of service. I guess we will not have this kind of authoritarian way. You see, we'll have self-esteem, esteem for others. I mean, we can motivate others. You see, we can push them to grow up. No, this is our mission. Our mission is to let all humans grow up in their humanity first, and then in their faith, and then in their country. They have to offer something to the society where they live, to build up a healthy society based on brotherhood, fraternity, accept of other, you see, and respect.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, these values, these virtues that His Excellency Archbishop Al-Kassis talks about is extremely important and has been highlighted in all the different religions, whether it be ours, Islam, or my guests, that is Christianity. We'll continue our conversation, but after a short break. Excellency, today is Christmas, of course. Merry Christmas to you and through our channel to all the Christians across the world, in Pakistan as well. And of course the Christmas tree that is right, behind us is one of the core symbols of Christmas. When you talk of the Christmas tree, how long has this tradition been of having a Christmas tree adorned for the Christmas day?
Actually, Christmas tree, it is a tradition that existed before Christmas itself, celebrating Christmas. It was a kind of practice in Germany before becoming Christian. It was a sign of life, the growth of joy, and then it was taken over by Christians to symbolize the sign of life, you see, and harmony. For this reason, the main meaning of Christmas, actually, it is the crib after. It was designed by Saint Francis of Assisi. You see the crib there, and we see it in the chapel. There, the crib represents also the signs and the figures of Christmas itself.
All right. And all these bells and the different adornments on the Christmas tree, is this also something that has changed over the years, or has it remained the same?
It changed actually. Before it was not decorated like this. But all the decorations which were very beautiful, they have a meaning of feast only, but they have nothing to do with the Christian signs. What we can say, for example, the star, yes, it has a link. When Jesus was born, the star came and guided the mages, you see, the kings, I mean. But the other symbols are only decoration of feast and joy. They have nothing to do with the Christian meaning of Christmas.
Christmas is also, of course, related to a feast as well, the Christmas Mass as well. How important are these also in this day? And do you feel that the whole ceremony has evolved over the years, or the core remains the same?
And actually, the core remains the same, you see, but the social, expression of this feast, it has changed throughout the time.
All right.
And
so
this is a sign of this. You see,
of the change.
Yes, a social development. And it's very interesting because you see worldwide, Christmas is celebrated in the social side, we can say, not the liturgical or theological one, But it is good. It's a sign also of community, communion among all nations.
But Excellency, at the Vatican, how is Christmas celebrated? And do you have a typical feast on Christmas as well over there?
Yes, we have, in our liturgy, we are in the period called Advent.
Right.
Advent is the liturgical season that starts after the ordinary one. It depends, because it depends on the feast itself. But we have 4 Sundays called of Advent. These Sundays prepare the faithful to celebrate the Christmas. They talk about, the incarnation of Christ, about St. John the Baptist, about many figures, our Mother Mary and St. Joseph. So they prepare the faithful to celebrate Christmas, in their faith. In the Vatican, they put a big tree and a big crib,
right.
And every year they bring it from different country or different region.
Oh.
You see? So this year they brought it, if not mistaken, from north of Italy. You see, brought this tree and the crib. You see statues. They commission an artist or a different country. They depends on those who will offer it, and you will see they decorate the St. Peter's Square. While in the Vatican we have a mass on the 24th. You see a vigil mass presided by the Holy Father. And next day, on 25th, also there is also another mass, also presented by the Holy Father. And the Holy Father also sends a message to the world wide, no? Urbi et Orbi, we call it. This is an important message sent by the Pope to the whole church, the whole world, on Christmas also there.
All right. And does the message change every year according to the situation that the world is confronted with?
That's true. According to the world confronted, true. And we have also on the first day of the year, you see, 1st of January, there is also a message that changes every year, you see, about peace. You see, World Day of Peace. And this is also important because it promotes, you see, peace and explains how we can live peace in different ways, you see. Every year we have different topics.
And I think peace needs to be lived as per the trends of the day, but in a manner that the public understands and relates with. Because I can't emphasize enough, Excellency, and I am sure you would agree with me, peace is extremely important in this day and age. When we see all the conflicts that the world is embroiled in, we need to also understand at the same time that it is important that we understand each other and build a relationship between each other so that the world could be a better place to live in. And what better day to talk about peace than Christmas?
That's true. But for this season, for us and our belief and our faith, peace comes from God, not from us. You see, when you have the peace of God in your heart, you feel serene and you can transmit this peace to others. You see, so peace comes from God to our heart. So more you have strong relation with God, more you understand that the humans are your brothers and sisters.
Exactly, and that you need to forge a normal working relationship with them in order for, to not only for you to prosper, but also the people around you to prosper and to live in a world that is less stressful than it is right now. Excellency, we are, of course, continuing on conversation. It is the day of Christmas. It is a day where Christians across the world celebrate this day, and we are going to talk about Saint Nicholas or the Santa Claus, as well as a lot of people know whether it is a myth or not. But ladies and gentlemen, that after a short break. Excellency, after you. And Excellency Al-Qasis, we are here in the chapel of the Holy See, in fact, in Islamabad. Today, of course, is Christmas, but normally, how many times per week do you hold Mass here?
Actually, we celebrate the Holy Mass every day in this chapel, yeah.
Every day?
At 7:50 every morning, and on Sunday, same. But because of COVID now, we are celebrating outside. But here usually people belong to the diplomatic, community. They come, yes, because for English language. You see, they come, they celebrate the Holy Mass with us.
All right.
You see, especially on Sunday, you see, we have a big number.
And for the big Mass of Christmas, it was held outside?
Yes, yes, outside.
All right.
Yes, and we have Christmas Eve. We celebrated it here. Last night we celebrated here at 8:30.
Oh, wonderful!
Yeah.
Wonderful. Tell us a little bit about this crib that we are standing in front of. You were telling me before we came to the chapel that the Jesus Christ's figure is not put in the crib until Christmas. Why is that so?
Because as we mentioned also before about Saint Francis of Assisi, he is the one who created the idea of crib. You see, before it was not like a crib like this. So he wanted to make a representation of the nativity. So Jesus, we put him on as the day of nativity to say that, to symbolize that on that day Jesus came, he was born. You know that in our faith, to explain that Christians, or Catholics especially, we believe in one God. But one God is a unity of three persons. You see, Father, Son, Holy Spirit. The Father sent his Son by the power of the Holy Spirit and the Holy Spirit who ended in Mary, and they gave birth to Jesus, which is a human name of the Son of God. So in Jesus we believe that there are two natures. He is divine, God, and man. You see, and the Christmas day, as we presented here, we see our Mother Mary, we see Saint Joseph, you see the angels, because the angel announced the birth of Jesus.
And there are also the three wise men, weren't there?
Also three wise men. We put them not now. We put them on the feast of the Epiphany.
Okay.
The 6th of January.
All right.
So we put them, but now we don't put them. So it is a representation, we can say, of the events linked and related to the Nativity.
All right. Excellency Al-Qasis, one of the very generalized questions that a lot of people ask is why this shape of the cross? What does this represent? And has this shape evolved over the centuries?
You know that the cross itself represents the crucifixion of Christ. Okay? And in many communities, many groups, many churches also, you see, because I have tradition of many churches, so they chose a symbolic cross for themselves. So the same cross has different forms to symbolize themselves. It is like a flag now. It is a cross that represents a community. So when you look at this cross, you know this is the order of this group, this religious order, this church, Antiochia or Coptic church. Only this, you see. So it is became a symbol of the church community itself. But the cross itself, it is common for all Christians. You see, this symbolizes a crucifixion of Christ and his resurrection. For many reasons, sometimes you don't see Jesus on the cross itself. In many Eastern churches, you don't see Jesus on the cross.
All right.
To represent that he is risen.
Oh, okay.
You see, but other places they keep Jesus to remind us of his death, his love. He gave up his life for humanity, for everybody.
Right. And of course, the representation is done by His Holiness Pope Francis. Now he's the Pope, but of course the Pope changes every how many years, Excellency?
You know that the Holy Father is elected by the College of Cardinals in a meeting, we call it a conclave. A conclave is a kind of a gathering of cardinal electors, which means are under the age of 80. Because if a cardinal reaches the age of 80, he is no more elector. So those cardinals, electors, now they are about 120. Usually should be 120, but now they are 120 also. So they go to the chapel 16 and they elect the Pope, usually after the death of the previous Pope, or as it happened with Pope Benedict XVI, no, he abdicated. So they also elect a Pope to replace. So usually the Pope is elected for life. Okay?
All right.
For life.
All
so when he dies, they elect the new Pope. So the Pope, you know, he is elected as Bishop of Rome. But the Bishop of Rome is called Pope. So usually they meet to elect the Bishop of Rome, you see. And after the election, you see, you know, there is investiture, there is a big ceremony. He fixed the date, no, after 1 week, 6 days, to inaugurate his papal ministry, apostolic ministry in the world. Pope Francis was elected in 2013.
All right. And what are the major duties or responsibilities of the Pope?
You know, the Holy Father is a vicar of Christ on earth. He is the successor of Peter. You know, Peter was one of the apostles. He was the leader of the apostles. And Peter, when he was first in Jerusalem, he went to Antioch to announce the gospel to everybody there. And he stayed in Antioch around 8 years. And around year 54 almost, he moved to Rome. And he died, he was killed by Emperor Nero, the famous Nero, no? In around 67. And he died and he gave this apostolic succession, we call it, to his successor, you see. And Linus and Anacletus and Clement and so on until Pope Francis. So the mission of the Pope is, first of all, to be the head of the universal church, and he has to be a brother of all patriarchs. You see, for this we call him primus inter pares. It means the first among equals. You see, and all churches, for your information, even non-Catholic ones, Orthodox churches and Protestant, they recognize the Pope as the first among equals.
All right.
So when they gather, the Pope, they know and recognize him, even though they are not in unity with him, communion, that he is the one, he is present, he presides.
All right. And how much of those responsibilities trickle down to the Apostolic Nunciature, or in your case, as your title suggests, the Apostolic Nuncio?
So, no, a very good question, because Apostolic Nuncio is a representative of the Pope here. It represents the Holy See in the strict meaning, also the Pope. So our mission is to to be extension of the mission of the Holy Father. So as mentioned before, he is the successor of Peter in the charity and love. So he presides over, you see, the church in this spirit of love, and carries out attention to everybody. So my mission is the same, to represent him, message of peace, understanding, dialogue, openness to others, and try to create links, you see, connections. First, you know, I'm an ambassador, so first of all with the government of Pakistan, you see, and I congratulate you today on the feast of your founder, you see, Qaid Azam, Muhammad Jinnah. And also my mission also is to represent the Holy Father to the church, Catholic Church here. So to be a link, if the Holy Father or the Curia Romana, you see, officers in Rome, they want to tell them something about our faith, of course. They deal with issues regarding the faith, the management of the church only. And then also I have to establish relations with non-Christians. You see, it means Muslim community here, our brothers here. And many times we meet with imams, with ulama, with Maulana, in order to strengthen relations with other you see, members of other faiths and religions, and also with Christians, but non-Catholic.
All right.
We call it ecumenical. Okay. So this is my mission here in this country. And also one important thing, I visit, the Nuncio's work is to visit the communities, Catholic communities all over, to express the love, attention, and care of the Holy Father.
All right. And how many communities are there in Pakistan, for example?
You mean Catholic communities?
Yes.
We have 7 circumscriptions, 6 dioceses, and 1 apostolic vicariate.
All right.
So in many cities, you see, Karachi, Islamabad, Rawalpindi, we have Multan, we have Faisalabad, we have Hyderabad, and we have Lahore, and apostolic vicariate in Quetta.
All right, wonderful. Excellency, we of course have been talking about your responsibilities, the responsibilities of the Pope, and how important the messages are that you are conveying in Pakistan, and how important the messages are also that the Pope is conveying across the world. And also on this day of Christmas, those messages become even more important. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll continue talking with the Archbishop about the relationship that exists between the Holy See and Pakistan, and how this cooperation is being led forward with the help of His Excellency the Archbishop, but after this short break. Stay tuned. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and we are here in the midst of the garden greenery, and all of this greenery makes me think of the clean energy program of our government, and of course climate change. And I'd like to quote His Holiness Pope Francis on this exactly. He said, "God always forgives, we men forgive sometimes, but nature never forgives. If you give her a slap, she will give you one." I believe that we have exploited nature too much. How true is it in these days and times with all that is happening concerning climate change?
Yeah, as we can see in the world, you see many countries, many scientific people and many scientists are talking about this problem. You see that the impact of climate, of our way of dealing with nature on the climate change. So, and Pope Francis underlines this in his encyclical letter, Laudato Si. He wrote it in 2015. Underlining, you see, the importance of preserve the nature and respect the nature, and because the nature is our mother. So if we, as you mentioned in his this quotation, if we don't respect nature, nature will also react, because nature lives naturally, and we are doing many things which are not natural, natural. So it can have impact on our life, our globe. And nature is also important because we, all of us, share the same globe. So we have to respect this earth in order to receive from the earth what she can give us. So what we are doing in the world, you see, should be done in a very responsible way, respectful way, and recognizing that whatever we do you see, will have its own, you see, impact on us.
Of course, and that is very important for that understanding to come to the common man, and for that the role of all the leaders, including His Holiness, is extremely important. Coming to Pakistan, where we are seated in the midst of the embassy of the Holy See, or the Apostolic Nunciature as you call it, how important is the relationship between the Nunciature and Pakistan, and how has that developed over the decades?
Actually, here our work started here in 1950, when Pope Pius XII sent an apostolic delegate. For us, apostolic delegate means the presence of the Pope, but not to the government, but to the church only. It's not ambassador. It presents the Pope only to the church. It was in 1950. After 1 year, established internunciatura. Internunciature, it means diplomatic relations with your country in 1951.
1951, all
yes.
right.
And then you know that the nunciature was first in Karachi. And then after, when Islamabad was declared capital city and was built, we moved the nunciature from Karachi to this place.
In fact, it's 70 years of our relationship.
We have, yes, 70 years. Actually, we think about organizing something, but you know, of COVID, many things were postponed. I hope that in 70, after 5 years, we could organize, 75th anniversary of this diplomatic relations.
So you were talking about the relationship between the Nunciature and, of course,
the Holy See and the government of Pakistan. You see, diplomatic relations established between the Holy See and the government of Pakistan, the state of Pakistan. And you know that our relations, you see, are developing with time, you know, like each bilateral relations, no? You need time to develop things, you see. But I personally, I can say, since my arrival here in 2019, I arrived here in February 2019, so almost 3 years in February, no, next February. So I can say that I established good ties with officials of your government. I see them welcoming. We sit down, we discuss. We have many matters to talk about. So
who have you met over these 2 years?
I met Minister of Interior Affairs, you see, previous one, in charge. I met Minister of Human Rights, you see, Madame Mazari. I met also a Minister for Interface and Harmony, you see, Al-Qadri. And I met also Pir Al-Haq Qadri, and I greet him now because it was a very important meeting. We had a very fruitful meeting. And I met also with Minister of Education and Minister of Information, you see, Mr. Chaudhry. So it was really very fruitful, they were very fruitful meetings in which we exchanged views, you see, from your government, your country, and the views of the Holy See. You see.
What are the avenues of cooperation between the Holy See and Pakistan?
Look, cooperation, we usually, with many countries, we don't have this cooperation that exists between them and other embassies. Why? I'll tell you why. Because our nature is different. For example, we don't have a consular section. We don't have economic section. We don't have military section. And you know, most of relations between embassies and countries are based on commerce, trade. We don't have this. But what is important for us is this human relation, promote peace, you see, respect, dialogue. This is our mission. Wherever we go, we try to be messengers of peace, you see, and dialogue and harmony, you see.
All right. Excellency, being a representative of the Holy See and the Holy Father here in Pakistan, when you meet the different religious leaders of other sects, what is the one thing that you find in common, and what is the one desire that all of you have?
The first desire, to be sincere with you, is to work together, put hands in hands. This is very important. And to accept each other's and try to put on the table the matters that interest a human person itself. I personally prefer that, you know, as I said before, we are not here to change each other's faith and religion. We are here to sit down together and say, we are Christians, you are Hindu, Muslim, Buddhist, in every country we do this. And we tell them we are here to discuss how we can serve humanity through our religions. So first of all, respect, mutual respect is very important, and esteem. And in this way, I guess, come to me, it can open doors to everybody. You see, any person.
All right. Today is Christmas. What is the value and the message of Christmas in a country such as Pakistan?
Yes, Christmas First, I congratulate all the Christian communities, first of all, and Catholics on the Christmas Day, you see, a Merry Christmas. And to all the Pakistanis, because, you know, as we can see in the streets, you see some signs in some places, signs of Christmas, which is very important. The Christmas is, for Pakistan, is a sign that people can live together, you see, because people sometimes think that in Pakistan we have only Muslims. No, we have all Christians and other religions. And this is very important to emphasize, because abroad they don't think like this. So we have many communities, and the Christmas is a way to let everybody, you see, think about existence of the other, you see, in his country, and to give him space. Very important to give space to everyone, because people are, I have to say, in Pakistan now, as we can see and we feel now, also in the constitution, no, that it is country for everybody.
Of course.
No, and this way it is Christmas. It is sign to let everybody, you see, recognize also the, you see, and give space to this community who celebrate Christmas, you see, and it will be good, because in this way we have an atmosphere of, you see, of interface that is growing in the country and needs to be also, how to say, promoted more and more.
All right.
Locally talk, I mean, because I know that efforts are taken. But you know, education is important to help people, you see, open up.
Exactly,
See,
that is very
others.
important for people to open up and to understand other faiths and religions. That is the need of the day. Now, of course, today is Christmas, and how can I not end today's show by a message from your end, Excellency? First of all, for the Christian community in Pakistan or across the globe, wherever they're watching, what would your message be today?
We are called to be, this is the place where Jesus will dwell, no, our heart, in order to give this Prince of Peace to everybody. So we are called to work for this and have a place for Jesus in our hearts, to let him meet others through us. And Merry Christmas to everybody.
And finally, Excellency, what's your message for the people of Pakistan?
I can tell you, people of Pakistan, you have a very beautiful country. You see, I am impressed wherever I go. I see this beauty you have regarding the land, regarding people, very welcoming people, very open people. You see, I ask you, Pakistani people, you see, to move on, you see, as one nation, you see, together, in order to build up your country. To build up a country, it requires patience, it requires education. I insist on education. And it requires also love, you see. And if you continue spirit of love, really loving each other, you see, regardless to your belonging, you see, to your faction, to your religion, to the sex, in this way, really, Pakistan can flourish more than it is doing now.
Thank you so very much, Excellency Archbishop Christoph Zakia Al-Kassis, the Ambassador of the Holy See in Pakistan, to have joined us on this very auspicious day for you, especially that is the day of Christmas. And we wish you a Merry Christmas, as they all say, and of course, through you, to all the Christian community in Pakistan and across the globe who are watching, a very Merry Christmas to you. I'll end there again with this quote from His Holiness Pope Francis, who said, and I think it's very important to end with this quote. He said, everyone has the right to practice their own religion freely without offending. One cannot offend, make war and kill in the name of their religion, that is, in God's name. I think this show will give a lot of you a lot of food for thought, not only in understanding the Christian faith, not only in understanding the work of the Holy See, but also in understanding other faiths. And I think it's time to open up your hearts to that. Merry Christmas, everyone. Allah Hafiz. And Excellency, thank you so very much to have given us the time. Of course, this beautiful embassy of the Holy See in Pakistan, and to let the opportunity to open up to us and to open up to our audience through this very show. Excellency, thank you very much, and we'll of course shake, but as per the COVID protocol. So thank you, sir.
I have to thank you all, thank PTV, and thank you, Mr. Omar, Mr. Abdul Latif, and all the equipe working here. So thank you very much for visiting us.
The pleasure is all ours, sir.
God bless you.